Okay, I'm going to call the Concord Township Board of Trustees November 6, 2019 meeting to order. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Luda.
Present.
Mr. Malczewski.
Present.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Present.
Okay, October 16, 29 regular trustees meeting minutes. Any problems?
No.
No.
Okay. We'll approve those. Reports. Amy, what do you got? The fiscal
No,
office.
it is November. But as of October 31st, we were 83% of the way through the calendar year. The treasury balance for the 19 active funds within the township treasury was $5.8 million. The treasury balance includes approximately $306,000 in funds already set aside for specific projects. Year-to-date expenditures so far, 69% of the amount appropriated for 2019. The revenue received year-to-date is 102% of the amount budgeted. We will not be receiving real estate tax revenue again until the end of the first quarter 2020, so we will need to carry over a minimum of $3.5 million. If you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to call my office at 354-7516. Thank you.
James, Connie, anything?
I just had a phone call this evening from a former resident who lives in Columbus to congratulate you on your election as judge.
Tell him thank you. Mr. Dondorfer, how about
I
you?
would also like to congratulate our chairman of the board here, Paul Malczewski, on his election to the bench as Painesville Municipal Court
Right.
Judge. I'm confident that you will serve with integrity and great wisdom.
Right.
From my years of experience with you, you're going to do a phenomenal job, and it's going to be an honorable position for you to have, and I'm sure you're going to do it with distinction and with, very well. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
But we'll miss you.
Yes, yeah, it's bittersweet because we
Yes.
will miss you.
Yes.
I will miss you, but I will still stop and visit you guys.
Okay.
With respect to, did you ever take a look at Coleridge?
Yes, I had a couple. I had a few calls from residents. Had a call of an issue with the road over on Coleridge that I looked at yesterday. I drove by, I spoke with Frank. We're going to do some work on that. I'm going to make contact with that resident. There's also a call I fielded for Fairfield, some potholes that we're addressing. I spoke with Frank on that. And another issue regarding zoning over on 84 that I spoke with Heather. So a few calls from residents that we're working through. I touched base with Andy on, and we're going to take care of it.
All right, well, the calls I got were regarding Pine Hill and the water lines, which is, I mean, we got water still out again today, Andy?
It was this morning. I understand that it's back on now.
And then we have a road that's, torn up, so we've been fielding those calls. Anything from the administration?
Thank you, Mr. Malczewski. First off, congratulations all around. Mr. Malczewski, Mr. Dondorfer, Mrs. Dawson. Connie, congratulations. You didn't have to run this year.
That's right. Thank you.
That's a good year.
It was fun.
Just a couple things. First off, item C on the agenda is to Medico Systems. That's for asbestos abatement. We had previously, earlier, several months back, voted on the PO to demolish the house. That's for cemetery expansion. But there's asbestos in the house, and we have to get that abated before we can tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that, and the Lake County Land Reutilization Corporation, otherwise known as the Lake County Land Bank, will be reimbursing us for 50% of those costs as well. So that certainly helps. The item G, memorandum to correct the May 1st, 2019 minutes. Not quite sure what happened. I think 52 different people looked at those minutes. But those minutes reflect that Mr. Dondorfer was appointed to trustee on May 9th of 2019. It was actually April 9th of 2019. So that is just a simple memorandum to correct those minutes to make sure that the date is accurate for historical purposes. And I also have we'll be asking
What's the right date, because we have, it says May
April-
1st.
April 9th, 2019.
But
Okay.
it was the May 1st minutes.
It's the May 1st
minutes.
minutes.
All right, how about we do, did anybody have a motion to correct those minutes?
I so move.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we'll mark those
Thank you, sir.
corrected.
I'd like to bring up from the floor, we received a resignation letter from our administrative assistant in the service department, Janet Hladek, effective November 7th, 2019. She will be missed, and we wish her well in her future endeavors. So if I could get a quick vote on that, up from the floor to accept her resignation, effective November 7th, 2019.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 We were going to, Chief had previously talked about purchasing a pickup truck, and then we were going to move that to later in the year, but we found out that we will lose our good pricing if we do that. So it was decided to bring this back up from the floor. It is Chief can talk about this during his report and we can vote, but that'll be coming up from the floor for a pickup truck for the fire department. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay. Fire Department, Chief Sabah.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, congratulations to everyone, Amy, Carl, Paul.
Thanks.
We're going to miss you,
Here we are.
but you're going to do well. In October, we had 144 events, EMS events with 117 transports. We had 5 fire events, one fire in Concord. We lost a lawnmower, but no one was hurt. We had 4 mutual aid fires, 1 vehicle, 1 residential, and 2 commercial fires. We gave mutual aid to our neighbors 20 times and received it 10 times. Our Fire Prevention Bureau was busy once again with 6 plan reviews, 11 annual inspections, 6 follow-up inspections, 2 fire protection system testing, 2 re-inspections, 4 alarm testing, and 2 fire drill evaluations. Public Education performed 5 Knox box installations, and we took 1 back. We had 1 fire prevention event, which was a fire drill for a local commercial business. We had 14 safety education presentations in 8 preschools and schools. We met with 703 students and 90 adults. So it was a good fire prevention month in October for us. We had 3 holiday events, trunk or treat at 2 churches and at Grist Mill. We reached out to approximately 575 children and about 600 adults. So it was a good month of October for Fire Prevention Month. As Andy had alluded to in his reports, we have a need to replace our command truck at Station 1, what we refer to as 1310, with another pickup truck. This is a Ford 2020 F-250 4x4, and I am looking for permission to proceed with the purchase. Like Andy had said, we will get better pricing now than if we waited until later, and this secures the purchase, and then they'll invoice us on delivery.
Not to exceed how much?
$32,551.02.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Chief, what is it, I know you said 1310, what's how old is that truck?
That is a I don't remember what year that truck is.
It's been around for a while.
It's been around, but it's actually gonna stay part of our fleet. And what it will replace is the creaky Dodge Durango that's,
You're
behind.
getting rid of Squeaky?
Squeaky is leaving, yes. Yeah, you can hear that thing coming from quite a distance. So that'll be replaced. Lastly, I want to thank the voters that came out in support of Concord Fire last night. We're disappointed, but our heads are high, and we're going to roll up our sleeves and sharpen the pencils and get back to work. So we're still working on it. Lastly, the fire department wants to extend its deepest condolences to the Simperman family in the loss of a wife, a mother, and Michelle Simperman. Her husband, Chris, has been a part of our family for many, many years, as has Michelle and their family. And Michelle will be missed. And our love and prayers go out to the Simperman family. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Service Department, Frank Kraska, what do you got going on? See, ODOT's got all these plows in their trucks today.
Everything's going on. Never a dull moment. Good evening.
Good evening, Frank.
I'd like to begin my report by congratulating Mr. Malcheski, Mr. Dondorfer, Mr. McIntosh, if you're watching, and Ms. Dawson in achieving the victories in the election yesterday. I look forward to working with them in achieving productive results for Concord Township, and I know Paul will serve his role as judge as he did as Township trustee with utmost respect. I wish all of you much success. Meanwhile, back in the trenches, during the month of October, the Concord Service Department completed extensive concrete repairs within the Quail Hollow subdivision. Township crews completed intersection replacements at Quail Hollow Drive, at Mountain Quail Place, and at Mountain Quail Place and Morning Dove Drive. These repairs accounted for over 1,200 square yards of concrete replacement and brought our construction season total up to nearly 3,000 square yards of repair at various locations throughout the township. We've also been completing an extensive concrete joint repair program within the Concord Hills subdivision and on Grand Ridge Point Drive. This maintenance procedure will help reduce erosion of concrete joints as we enter into the winter season, which unfortunately plays havoc on our road infrastructure. As for the winter season, our equipment has been gone over and we are ready to meet the challenges presented to us in the coming months in this lake effect community. The annual curbside leaf pickup will be held the week of November 25th. The collection will begin at 6 a.m. on the morning of Monday the 25th. There will be no return trips to pick up bags that were not at the curbside when the collection began. Township-wide collection typically takes 3 days to complete. Residents are required to supply their own biodegradable leaf bags and can only be filled with leaves. Leaf bags should be placed at the curb where the vendor will pick them up. No leaf piles or plastic bagged leaves will be accepted. The vendor also asks that the residents don't overweight the bags with wet leaves, making it almost impossible to pick up safely. The pickup program, again, will take place on the week of November 25th. Residents in the meantime may drop off yard waste and bagged leaves on a daily basis at the Service Department garage Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. till 3:30 p.m. And I can assure you this has been quite active. We have cars coming in, almost streaming in throughout the day for the last week at least. So, mailbox snow barricades are available to Concord residents for $40 each. That is just the cost of the material and will be installed by our service department. Join 700 other Concord households in protecting your mailbox from plowed snow. In closing, the service department would also like to recognize one of our employees, Janet Halavic, who served as our administrative assistant for nearly 15 years. The employees at the service department and residents alike will be forever grateful for all the support and assistance that Janet provided them over the years. Janet will be missed at the department, though we support her desire for a career change helping others. Thank you, Janet. If you have any questions regarding services provided by Concord Service Department, or if you have made observations that you want to report to the Concord Service Department, you can find our contact numbers and other related information under the Service Department tab on the Concord website at www.concordtwp.com, or call our office directly at 440-350-3225. One last thing, remember, winter weather is quickly descending upon us. Let me remind everyone that once the roads are snow-covered, driving is no longer routine. Your commute to work, school, and business will be impacted. Plan ahead, give yourself added travel time, know the conditions you will be encountering, slow down, and all-wheel drives don't mean you can drive as when the roads were dry. Ice is ice, you'll slide into who knows what. Help our Sheriff's Department out by driving safely this winter. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Frank. Zoning Department, Heather Freeman.
Yes, good evening.
Hi, Heather.
Hi. So during the month of October, the zoning department was busy issuing zoning permits. We processed 26 permit applications and collected $3,500 in fees. Of those permits, 9 were for accessory buildings, 4 new dwellings, 4 new businesses, 3 fences, 2 swimming pools, 1 residential addition, 1 structural alteration, 1 wall sign, and 1 deck. Also during the month of October, our office received and began investigations on 10 new potential zoning violations. In addition, we performed 121 site inspections on open zoning permits. Next week, our Board of Zoning Appeals will have their meeting on Wednesday at 7 p.m. There's 1 old case and 2 new cases to be reviewed. The detailed agenda can be found on the township website, as always, under concordtwp.com. Click on public meetings, and you can filter out just for BZA meetings if that's what you're interested in. So that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Rec Department, Deb Esther. What do you got going on over in the Rec Department?
Oh, a lot. Good evening, everybody. And I have to throw my 2 cents in. Warmest congratulations to our newly elected and re-elected officials, Fiscal Officer Amy Dawson, Trustee Carl Dondorfer, newly elected Municipal Judge Paul Malcheski. Thank you for all you do. I look forward to working for you and alongside you as we serve Concord residents to continue the legacy that Connie Luda started. So thank you all and congratulations.
Thank you.
Rick, you want to power up the PowerPoint? It's hard to believe November is already upon us, truly, and the holiday season is here. But rest assured, your Concord Township Recreation Department is here to help you through the holidays and celebrate them together. But first, a word of thanks. Thank you, Concord residents and guests, for participating and enjoying our 11th annual Halloween haunt at Gristmill Village. It was delightful to see the hundreds of costumed kids and their families trick-or-treating throughout the shops at Gristmill. It's impressive to see how Concord residents amp up that costume creativity every year. And a shout out to all the parents that dressed up too. The Recreation Department is deeply grateful to the owners of Gristmill Village and all of the participating Concord Township businesses for their generosity and enthusiasm again this year. The treats were bountiful, and the vibe was full-on fun. Thanks to the Concord Township Fire Department and the Lake County Sheriff's Office for bringing out the heavy-duty vehicles for kids to explore, and as always, welcoming the guests to this wonderful family-friendly tradition. Thank you, Concord Township Fire Department, for all you do. And as you know, Halloween party was a success when T-Rex shows up, so check that box. This event grows bigger every year, and we've already started to plan some special surprises for next year. So thanks again, Concord, for your vibrant community spirit and sense of fun. November is a great time to focus on yourself before the rush of the holidays, and your recreation department is here to help. So this month, we are offering a plethora of classes with you in mind, including martial arts for adults and kids, mixed level yoga, yoga Pilates fusion, pound, the exercise class with drumsticks, Tai Chi, Princess Ballet for ages 3 to 5, Hip Hop and Tumble for ages 4 to 6, Mixed Media Art, Make a Stained Glass Christmas Tree, Learn American Mahjong, which is becoming huge in Concord, I must say, Learning Lightroom, Photoshop Elements, Microsoft Windows for adults, and, as always, getting started with Medicare. Library Tuesdays at the Community Center continue in November. Yesterday, guests made birdseed ornaments to help our feather friends weather the cold. On November 12th, people can test out a virtual reality headset and transport yourself to an exotic location without ever leaving the room. And join us on November 19th for a fun morning of bingo with a holiday twist. All of the Library Tuesday programs begin at 10 a.m. at the Concord Community Center. Seats are still available for most classes and programs, and you can go online to register at concordtwp.com. Senior socials at the Community Center occur the first and third Wednesday of every month. They're usually free and include coffee and dessert. For instance, this afternoon, the Recreation Department hosted a senior social focusing on comfortable and easy chair exercise. And then everybody had muffins because that's how we roll. Our next senior social is in honor of Thanksgiving. The Recreation Department warmly invites Concord seniors to our first annual Friendsgiving potluck on November 20th at the Community Center. Simply give us a call to reserve your seat. Join docent Dan Maxon for an old school tea party at the Old Stone School this Saturday, November 9th. Guests will learn a little bit about Concord Township history as they enjoy a lovely old-fashioned tea party in the historically charming environment of the old schoolhouse. Seating is limited. I think we have one spot available. So call the Recreation Department soon to reserve it. Our holiday theme this year is stars, and our goal is to fill up the Concord Township holiday tree in the gazebo with beautiful star ornaments. So new this year, Concord families are invited to place an ornament on the township tree just before the tree lighting celebration on December 6th. So families are invited to make star ornaments at a workshop on December 2nd at the Community Center. Parents can drop off their kids and go shopping or just get a break, while kids can make the star ornaments, enjoy holiday movies, play games, and just hang out. The workshop is free, but pre-registration is required. And then mark your calendars for Concord Township's second annual holiday tree lighting celebration on Friday, December 6th at the gazebo at Town Hall. Hang your star ornament on the township tree between 6:30 and 7 p.m. and then gather around the tree at 7 to share in the holiday joy as we light up the Concord Township tree together. Afterward, families are invited inside Town Hall to visit with Santa and Mrs. Claus, enjoy cookies, hot cocoa, and some more holiday fun. And November 11th is Veterans Day, so please remember to thank a veteran. We don't know them all, but we owe them all. In honor of our local veterans, we invite them and their families to visit the Old Stone School on Monday, November 11th, between 3 and 4:30 p.m. for a free guided tour, including refreshments and a special gift. And there are many ways to stay informed on Concord Township happenings. You can start by reading the Grapevine newsletter, subscribing to our monthly email newsletter, the eGrapevine. You can also download the Concord app, visit our highly informative website, or follow us on social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or simply pick up the phone and call any department for immediate assistance. And the Recreation Department always welcomes resident input, so we really appreciate your time and your suggestions. And in closing, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. May we all find joy in being grateful for the things we have, but more importantly, the wonderful people in our lives. Thank you.
Thanks,
Deborah.
Concord Law Enforcement, Sheriff's Office, Deputy Izzo, new XO.
We at the Sheriff's Office also like to extend our congratulations on the election victories last night. Mr. Malczewski, we're excited to continue our relationship with you in a different way. We're all excited to have you on the bench, so we look forward to you getting started there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
In October, the Sheriff's Office recorded in Concord Township a total of 1,117 total calls for service. Highlights of those included 16 damage accidents, 2 injury accidents that we responded to and investigated. Arrests included 2 for domestic violence, 3 for drug possession altogether. And the highlight arrest of the month for us was the solving of the local breaking and enterings, including the B&E at the Red Hawk Grill. The suspect in that case we found was responsible for at least 14 other breaking and enterings in the area. He's a known offender to us from over the years, so he ended up getting, I believe, over $3,000 out of the lottery machine at the Red Hawk. So we were able to get him and make an arrest on that.
Good work.
Traffic included approximately 200 traffic stops with 170 written warnings, 17 citations issued, 6 for driving under suspension, and 2 OVIs throughout the month. We responded to and/or charged individuals in 5 drug overdoses in the month of October. New investigations include 5 burglaries. We're starting to see the early evening burglaries again now that it's getting darker. The dinner hour, the out to dinner crowd. We've had 5 late in October, and the Detective Bureau is working on those. Several of them in the Hunt Club and a couple down on Fay Road in that area off of Ravenna. We responded to 18 disturbances, 3 other domestic violence calls, 4 other drug complaints. Investigations were initiated, 10 harassment or threat reports. We assisted with and located 5 missing persons, investigated 2 sexual assaults, 13 scam reports, unfortunately responded to 3 suicides, and in total 51 suspicious vehicles, persons, or circumstances, as well as initiated investigations on 9 theft reports. So it was again a busy month, and congratulations again to everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Audience, anyone from the audience want to speak?
Good evening, I'm Tom Hack, 11575 Fay Road. I too would like to congratulate everybody who was elected, and also like to wish Ms. Luda all the best in retirement. So congratulations.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah, same to you, Tom.
Thank you very much. Anyway, I did have the opportunity to stop by office hours earlier this afternoon, and just wanted to talk about the potential ways forward. Everybody agrees, I think, within Concord that we need to figure out how to move forward with new fire stations. But I think what is key is having a really true two-way communication. And I am looking at you, Mr. Dondorfer, just because you are obviously continuing. Morgan McIntosh obviously will be joining us as well, and then eventually there will be a replacement for Mr. Malczewski. But I think it's really incumbent. Everybody agrees we should be able to figure out a way forward that, where the firefighters win, Concord wins, and the taxpayers win. And I look forward to being part of that dialogue as ideas are developed and before they go final, just to have the opportunity for many people in the community to provide feedback on that, so that when a final conclusion is met, or we come to a final conclusion, everybody is bought in and we can effectively move forward. But that's all I wanted to say, and again, congratulations for everybody who was elected, and I'm
Thanks,
good to
Mr.
go.
Hack.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Vanessa Pesic, 11705 Cali Court. I'd like to congratulate all of the voters in Concord who thought through this bond levy very carefully and opted for a more reasonable way forward without increasing taxes. And as we move forward collaboratively, as Tom stated, I really hope that we can move quickly, because I fully believe that both of the stations need to be rebuilt, and that we need to move as quickly as possible for firefighters and EMS professionals. And so a lot of different ways to move together. and one is to establish a budget up front, which is something that most households do, when they're starting a large project. And so I thought I'd look back at the January 25th, 2019 strategic planning meeting that was held. The original budget for the 2 fire stations was between $18 and $20 million. And so one of the, recommendations was that that Concord would utilize, I have it right here, TIF and JED funds to cover half of the contributions, so half of the $20 million. So that would be $10 million in debt services that would be about $505,000 a year. And so looking at utilizing the JED and TIF funds and realizing that we can afford $10 million, I think that might be a great way to begin looking at establishing the budget of $10 million for the 2 fire stations without increasing taxes. So wanted to bring that forward. This is something that was presented at the meeting, and it was looked at carefully. So let's see if we can utilize something like that and then develop 2 stations that are reasonable, one a main station, one also that is only an auxiliary station. And there are many, many examples throughout the area, throughout the state, and throughout the country of very reasonably sized and priced stations that you can look at if we need to, and also hope that we won't be duplicating too many services, but rather that we can, again, utilize services and work in a regional fashion. So I look forward to working and providing any expertise I can with the project coming forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
thanks.
sorry.
Beat me to it.
I don't have my phone in my lap.
Name and
Stephen-
address, please, sir.
Thank you. Stephen Lee, 7391 Flower Hills. I just want to make just 2 general statements. I was involved with the effort to defeat issue 1. It happened to be my first political campaign I ever was involved with. However, I happen to have dabbled in communications and corporate communications, marketing, so that's what I offered. I'm not here to obviously relitigate, just 2 general statements, and really based on the News Herald's article of last night or this morning. Excuse me. The one general statement, and I think everyone in this room knows, but certainly in the community, we hear a lot of feedback, blowback. I certainly hope Chief knows. I know he knows. The people did not vote against firefighters. We hear these stupid remarks and very offensive remarks of anti-firefighters, anti-EMS. It's just absurd. So, going forward, maybe I will stay involved to squash those kind of inane remarks. So again, going forward, just the first gentleman, what Vanessa just said, the cooperation is so critical, and I just hope, again, Mr. Rose, I know it's just a quote, but I see you're going to go back and have some internal discussions, and we'll figure it out. Again, I'm not, you have your opinion, I would never challenge you on that, I respect that, but that's the kind of message, versus Bob Sanderson saying common interest, working collaborative, transparency. I just hope, for the record, I'd just like to say we can do that together. Not more committees, not task force, not, fluff and smoke and mirrors, but, real input, technical expertise, rounded expertise. And I think you'll have some very good results in the end.
But was there presented some smoking mirrors?
I'm sorry?
Did someone present some smoking mirrors? Is that, you mentioned smoking mirrors, what do you mean
No,
by that?
No, my remark was, going forward, we would never want to present a community advisor panel just to say, oh, we want to be involved. There's no benefit to
Sure.
more meetings, more committees, more minutes. Was there something presented leading into the vote? Is that what you're asking? I think there might have.
You mentioned smoking mirrors. I was just asking, what did you mean by that?
Well, as I explained, I was
Okay.
just talking about going forward. What has transpired in the past, I've not been involved. I've been involved like for a month, 2 months. But, I've heard enough I don't think there was a lot of transparency. Some,
Well, I would disagree with you on that.
well, of course you can.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not here
yeah.
I'm not
I
here to
mean,
relitigate.
Government, at least to me, is government's out in the open. So everything that the township does, township trustees pass, happens right here in this room.
Sure.
Okay? So when we pass a budget, we have a discussion, it happens right here.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I don't know if there's a way to be any more transparent than doing that.
Yeah.
Now, when plans come up, we present plans, we made changes to those plans. The general public didn't like it. Certainly they could vote it down.
Well, they did,
But I
right.
don't think it
They
was a
did.
lack of transparency.
Yeah,
It was a
I did not
Yeah.
accuse that. I can check my remarks when you play it back. I was talking about a committee going forward that we would never want to profess smoke and mirrors or.
We don't want a false committee.
Right.
Right.
That's
right.
what
I
I'm
would
saying.
agree with you on that.
All right, so I think we're clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever transpired leading up to that, obviously, it's very clear what the response was. 65.5% said
At
the
least
plan was no good.
Yeah, at least, well, I think, I'm still trying to rationalize what that was. It could be two things. A, they don't like $10 million, and so just the $10 million seemed high. Two, there was a bad explanation of what the plan was. I would suggest that that's gotta be one of the main reasons there.
Yeah, I would say.
And I think it's.
Lack of details, I would say.
I think it's difficult to put something out that says it's not going to be in excess of 10 million, but we can't tell you exactly how much it's going to be. We know it's not going to be over here.
Sure.
And the reason why that is kind of how the way that mechanism works for bonding issues. And so I think it would be our attempt to at least tighten that up if that ever would,
Yeah.
reform again.
Yeah. No.
but-
I know something about messaging. I think
Yeah.
you're right on. It's spot on. You had a lot of emotional appeal, good emotional appeal. Again, we did not vote against firefighters. We live here. We depend on them. We pay their salaries. So that's all I'm saying. Again, I don't want to relitigate right standing here. Go for it. But,
Well,
we'll work it out and we'll have some internal discussions. How did that work out? I don't think that worked out real well for you guys.
Mr. Chair, with all due respect, I'd like to address that.
sure.
Thank you. I was contacted by Chad Felton from the News Herald last night, and I was asked to provide comments regarding the results of the levy.
Sure.
In my haste, I did give comments. It's not for me to say, you know what, moving forward, we're going to form a committee, we're going to do this. I hadn't even talked to my trustees yet. Hence the phrase internal discussions, we're going to figure this out.
Right.
This conversation and this quote was given at about 10 o'clock last night.
I said that up front. I'm not challenged. I've been interviewed
But this,
100,000
well,
times.
I apologize, I'm a little sensitive because you're the second person that's called me out on this. The other
Okay.
one actually emailed me and called me dumb.
Okay.
So I'm a little.
I'm not laughing.
I'm a little snarky.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Any good administrator is not going to give the world the direction we're going without consulting with the elected officials, the trustees. There's not a city manager, there's not a school administrator, there's not an administrator worth his or her salt that is going to commit to a course of action at 10 o'clock at night to the media without consulting. That's where the phrase internal discussions takes place. That's a courtesy to my bosses.
No, absolutely.
That concludes my statement.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
No, I never implied that. I never stated that or implied it.
Well, you kind of did.
No, I didn't mean to. So I'll take that back.
Thank you.
I'm talking about going for, that's why I said I'm not relitigating. I said 2 general statements. We're 4 firefighters, and I certainly hope for cooperation in fine-tuning this and getting it done and getting what we have to do for the firefighters. That's all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think what's gonna probably happen, and thank you for your comments, I think what probably will happen is that we will, send our chief or, our administrator to, probably to pull some data and some more information, whether that's, an adjustment to the plan, whether that's, different type of funding techniques, but, I think internally, we're gonna have some of those discussions about what to pull and bring to, the general public. And then once that is brought to the general public, then we can have some healthier discussions about something. There's something on a piece of paper that you can see. So I foresee that to take place, just from my general comment. Got anything else you want to add, Carl?
No.
Okay, anybody else from the audience want to speak?
Linda Kangas, 7061 Cascade Road. The recent vote for the 2 new fire stations with the 65.4% against the proposal plan was because of the design and the cost. This is really a mandate by the Concord citizens, by many of the Concord citizens, 65%, to revisit the entire project. As we have continually said, this vote is not against supporting our firemen and EMS. I've been taken to the hospital and treated fabulously and appreciate all of their help. But we want to provide for their needs and safety in the line of duty with well thought out facilities and a cost base in keeping with our community's desires. Citizens would urge a cooperative approach to coming up with alternative solutions. One way to do that would be to establish a community-based think tank that capitalizes on the knowledge base within our community. In fact, the think tank should address any new ideas and the best way to implement them in conjunction with our trustees. Community-based discussions, well before ideas get solidified, will create a much less adversarial climate, and we certainly have had some in our time. There are a number of citizens who would volunteer to be involved in a process like that. For example, in 2004, a community-based comprehensive plan was developed as a roadmap to the future. That plan has not been fully implemented, but the process itself made a lot of sense. There were numerous experts also invited to make presentations, and they were very informative, and their talks were well attended, and their expertise was instrumental in the well-formed document. We feel that Concord's process in providing for our community needs to become more transparent and more cooperative from the very beginning of every project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to go back on some of the dialogue that you talked about here, Mrs. Kangas.
Yeah.
You said it was defeated based on cost and design. And that, you know that from people you've spoken with, or, I mean, how do you make that? I mean, we had some dialogue, Tom and I, and I believe the cost is an issue. As far as design, I know that there was a lot of effort that was put into that design.
I
as
totally
far
agree
as
there was.
is a report from the Ohio Chiefs. There was input from firefighters who would be working out of those fire departments.
Yep.
And I get it. Everybody's gonna have a difference of opinion as far as design, what they would like to see as far as the looks and things of that nature. But I believe, you know, as Tom and I talked earlier, and we talked in office hours, I think a big portion of it was cost. And yes, there needs to be community engagement and involvement, but you know, there is probably gonna be some differences of opinion on design, but I think the design portion of it, I was fairly confident with my public safety background and looking at the report and evaluating that and looking at that design. We did change that footprint a few times.
Yes.
I think the design, I really didn't see a lot of, I mean, again, there's some issues about the way people wanted to see the floor plan in that, but I think the design was not, there wasn't a lot of fat there. I mean, but there was, the cost obviously was an issue.
Cost is an issue. I think the cost is based a great deal upon the square footage.
And what you're paying for the square footage, I understand
And what you're paying
that.
for
Right.
it. And also, a big cost, when a person like myself thinks about it, was the architect's costs. And I guess has to do with, comes off of the percentage of the total project, perhaps.
Okay.
But then the total project itself ended up being quite a bit of money. More than the 10 million-ish.
And I guess what, I see where you're sort of relating the cost as being involved in the overall design. That's,
Yeah, mm-hmm. But I think my main thought here is citizen involvement. And I think if we had a think tank, and they are very, very productive and involving, I would very much like to see consideration, a serious consideration of a think tank developed from our own very educated community for volunteers for that.
and what would you see a think tank look like? What would that be to? Because that's, you know, it's sort of open.
It opens the doors to a wider possibility of thinking about, for instance, who to choose to be the architect, the architectural firm. We have a lot in our community, a lot to look for and to involve in what we're doing and what we want to do with our community. And that was shown too in 2003 and 4 when the comprehensive plan was first worked out. It worked out beautifully. Connie, you were involved in that? Mm-hmm. I mean, we appreciated it. We were involved in it. We had so many conversations at the dinner table with our children, with each other. We became involved with all of our different opinions. We were involved and appreciated that and thought it worked well.
And I would like to reiterate, like Mr. Malczewski said, I believe there was transparency before I came into the process.
You were going to hit me on that.
Well, I think it's different. I'm a firm believer that there needs to be transparency in government and integrity, and I believe that was there in the project. And that's different than collaboration. Transparency, I mean, nobody's hiding anything. Everything's
Right.
everything's done here at the table.
Right,
And
always has been.
but again, that's different to me than
But
collaboration and
then
getting
it
input
needs
from
to
the
get
community.
out to us, and you do your very best for that with, and I agree with that, but I think more involvement,
Thank you.
yes. Thank you very much.
Can you tell us what you recognize again?
Sure.
Again, Tom Hack, 11575 Fay Road. Just referencing the office hours where I attended. So let me just make sure I'm understanding, you made a comment to it as well. So, in my opinion, you seem to differentiate between design and cost. And it seems to me, I mean, are you suggesting that you could have the same proposal on the table for less money?
No, I only brought that up because Mrs. Kangas indicated that the levy was defeated based on design and cost. And yes, those are intermingled, but I think cost was, I asked her, how do you get to that equation? And by her discussing that with me, I understand that, that you're talking about, obviously the cost and how much square footage there was and what was the cost of that square footage.
Yeah, cost and design are integral. I mean, they're the same. I mean, I do think it's reasonable to assume that the residents of Concord, the voters of Concord, indicated that it was too expensive. Therefore, if it's too expensive, that would impact design moving forward, in my opinion.
But I think the voters just saw, in my opinion, they saw a picture of what this may look like, but with regards to the cost, that's going to differentiate based upon the material you use.
Right.
Or internally, if we're going to, how we're going to heat it. There may be a more costly way initially in construction of heating this facility or cooling this facility that could be less done, but maybe more expensive over time because you're going to use more energy to heat that cost. So I think material has something significant to do with it as well.
Okay. I would just suggest that if parameters don't change, that one takeaway could be that the original plan was, in essence, I have a project management background, that the original plan was gold-plated, and it was not necessarily if you're talking about keeping the same square foot, I don't want to.
I never mentioned keeping the same square footage. All I was talking about was talking about trying to differentiate between one, the cost, and two, looking at the footprint, and we made changes to it, that there was a lot of input from a lot of experts in the field as far as the way that was laid out, and I think it's important that, obviously we're moving forward, we're gonna look at that, okay, but.
Yeah, I appreciate that. As Mrs. Pezic mentioned, I do think starting with a budget and figuring out, what can be done internally with existing tax revenues would be a starting point, and then figuring out the design that has the functionality that meets our needs would be a good way to start. But I appreciate you letting me come back for a second time, and
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right, on new business, Board of Resolution 2019-25, authorizing the designation of Township Administrator to accept upon receipt the tendered resignation of any employee at the township.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2019-25, which is a resolution by the Concord Township Board of Trustees, authorizing by designation the Township Administrator to accept upon receipt the tendered resignation of any employee of the township.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vote for October financial reports.
I so move that we approve
I'll
them.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have a PO. I'll ask for a vote on or a motion on a PO in the amount of $9,750 to Medico Systems Inc. for asbestos abate at 11717 Concord Hamden Road, and this is the cemetery expansion.
Yep. Mr. Malcheski, I'd also like to add that your current cemetery sexton, Karen Warner, also applied to the state for a grant for $1,000, and that will be also applied to that along with the land bank grant, so.
Okay, is the 9750 our cost, or does that include those?
No, we pay that up front, and
Okay.
then, well,
And then we'll
we've
get
already
reimbursed.
received the $1,000, so that'll be applied against that.
Okay.
But the original, the purchase order is for the full
All right.
$9,750.
All right, I move that we approve the purchase order in the amount of $9,750 to Medico Systems.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Fire Department's PO to Warren Fire Equipment in the amount of $6,072. This is a BWC grant, reimbursement of $5,016.67. will be done. The Concord's cost will be $1,055.33.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And a vote to Fire Department promote probationary firefighter EMT basic Sterling Black to regular status firefighter EMT basic effective October 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We've already taken care of the correction, recognition letter for Eagle Scout
Oh,
Zachary.
you missed,
wait,
you missed
you
William
missed
Telfer.
F,
F.
F.
you got William Telfer.
Yeah, motion on William Telfer.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Se-
Wow.
Senior firefighter, paramedic William Telfer, to firefighter effective November 1st, 2019. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
How about recognition letter of Eagle Scout Zachary Clemens?
Okay. It is with great pleasure that the trustees of Concord Township extend their congratulations to Zachary Clemens for attainment of the very prestigious honor of Eagle Scout. Anyone who has known a Scout understands the hard work and dedication that accompanies the achievement of Eagle Scout. However, it is certainly worth noting that only about 5% of your peers will achieve this same rank, and that you will stand among those Eagle Scouts that have become great leaders in this country. Your Eagle Scout project, providing the leadership to develop a detailed plan, coordinate 16 volunteers with 161 volunteer hours to rebuild the split rail fencing at the Peoria Outdoor YMCA is very commendable. Your understanding of the importance to give back exemplifies the ideals and goals of scouting through leadership and service. Eagle Scouts are leaders by the nature of their accomplishments, which you have demonstrated by graduating from Mentor High School while then serving on student council for 2 years, volunteering for the preschool PALS program, was a member of the National Society of High School Scholars, and graduated summa cum laude from Lakeland Community College with an associate's degree. We wish you the best as you pursue a degree in business from Ohio University, and we look forward to watching you grow as a future community leader. Congratulations on becoming Eagle Scout. Sincerely, the Concord Township Board of Trustees.
And we have to sign it.
Copy.
Okay, so we're signing those. Future meetings, we will be closed in observance of Veterans Day. That's Monday, November 11th. Wednesday, November 13th, we'll have the BZA meeting here in Town Hall at 7 p.m. Wednesday, November 20th at 6:30. We will have our office hours. Again, our trustees meeting at 7:30. We will be canceling our staff meeting in Town Hall, which was scheduled for Friday, November 22nd. Connie,
Okay.
anything else?
Nope.
Carl, anything else
Nothing.
for the good of the order? Okay, that will conclude our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.